What happens to your body when you stay for long without having any sexual activity? Do you get secondary virginity? And is it actually a thing? What happens to your cycle? What happens to your eggs? What happens to your sex libido? And by the way, if you are on contraceptives, should you remove that if you're planning to abstain, or should you keep it? And what are the effects of removing the contraceptive when you decide to abstain or when you stay for long without having sexual activity? These are some of the questions you really get in my DMs, and you're going to tackle them, but I know you're as curious as I am. How long have you ever stayed without sex, and what actually happened to your body? What did you feel? We'll be interested to know. Anyway, let's just go directly to the point, because I know we need to tackle a bit more in this video, and wait until you hear what usually happened to men. And this is what you're going to tackle in the next video, so make sure you're subscribed. What will happen to your cycle? Nothing. Your cycle will just stay the same, because it's actually not influenced by whether you're going to have sex or not, in as much as it's part of the whole ecosystem. But nothing will happen to your cycle. If you are not on any contraceptives, you're going to have your cycle as usual. So simply the cycle will continue, your sexual activities will have to catch up later. Another thing you might want to know is that men usually desire for sex sooner compared to women, because men are kind of like, let me just look for something that you can relate to. Do you see when you're walking in a certain building and automatically the lights goes on, because the switch has something that we call motion detection? So when something walks, the lights goes on. That would be men. Anything they see, something they perceive, or maybe they are reading, it's actually enough to trigger them to have sexual desires. For women, they're more like the analog switch, where you'll have to go and physically switch it on. So mostly they are more of contact, like they'll have to have physical touch and such for you to trigger their desire for sex. This actually works in favor of women, because they can stay actually for long. But there is a reminder, when they're having ovulation, most of them will have, you know, the sexual desires, in as much as it can be masked by a certain pain sometimes they usually get. As a result of this, we've had this conversation, so you know why that pain can be and how you can be able to manage most of it. What happens to your ovaries? Because I remember there was a very, very interesting question that I got, that if I'm not having sex as a lady, does it mean that I'm not releasing eggs, so I get to keep them? Now, you are born with a full set of eggs when you're young. When you get to puberty, they start maturing slowly. Over time, you keep releasing the eggs, and because you have a fixed number, it kind of depletes and diminishes over time. And because you have a fixed period of reproduction, the more you stay without maybe reproducing, you continue depleting them. And this is not dependent on whether you're going to have any sexual activity or not, because regardless of whether you meet your partner or not, you're going to have ovulation, and ovulation is a release of the egg, which will trigger you having the menses. So long as you're getting your menses, it means that you're losing your eggs, and over time you're going to deplete that, and then you're going to get to menopause, and that's when everything stops, the system stops, and then from there estrogens start bringing some issues here and there, because you underproduce it, and then you start having so many things that we're going to talk about in the future, about what usually happens when you get to menopause and how to manage some of the things that usually come along with that. Now let's go to the actual things that will happen when you stay for long without having any sexual activity. Let's go to the first one, which is libido. Now, libido is the urge to have sex, and when you're having sex, the drive that you have towards the activity. Now, a tiny group of people will have an increase in libido and the urge and the desire to have sex. But we have a huge majority that over time, if they stay long enough, they are going to outgrow this phase where they're going to feel the urge. The libido kind of dips, so it goes down. This is because of one, the body, the human body, has a very funny way of disregarding something it's dimming, or putting something redundant when it's actually not being useful anymore. When you're having a sexual activity, so many things will happen to your body. You have hormones that usually produce. You have oxytocin, which is usually the love hormones. We have the reward system hormone, which is dopamine, and some others, but these two, I'm sure you are aware of them. They usually make sex more enjoyable. You get to be connected with your partner, and the same oxytocin is the same that will give that bond between the mother and the child. So it's a very important hormone in the human body. So if you stay for long without having any sexual activity, you kind of tend to have less libido, because you're staying for long without stimulation of the sexual physiology. So the body kind of puts the whole of that under the bed. Temporarily, of course, because you can resume that once you get back, but you're going to see some of the things that will happen to your vagina. That's when it comes to like secondary virginity. Psychologically, there is something called sexual frustrations, and this is because, like when we sex with regular sex, usually you get dopamine, you get oxytocin. They are very good when it comes to bonding and all that. If you limit your body from getting that, if you're not getting frequent secretion of such, there's something called sexual frustrations. Yeah, you find that maybe it's the first month, second month, third month, bodies are usually different. You might get you sooner, or maybe take forever to get even to that point. So what will happen is there is that sexual tension that will just accumulate over time, but then it gets to a point where now you feel that you really need to have that. So you start feeling heavy around your labia, your clitoris, your sexual organs, even your breast. You start feeling that you really need something. So this can be relieved by having masturbation, which is something that I actually don't recommend. So either if you are able to ignore that thing completely, or if you can look for another activity that might influence your brains into just going away from the feeling, it'll be good. It'll be better than just masturbating, because masturbation is very accessible and you have a high tendency of getting it as a habit. So you might be addicted to that activity. So just look for something else that can just occupy your brains in the process. When you stay for long without having any sexual activity, and then all of a sudden you meet a partner, now maybe you change your mind, or maybe now you've gotten the person you've been waiting for, and then you want to have a sexual activity. One, you might have tension. That's psychological. You're not going to explain that, but then it might take you long before you get ready. And by getting ready, you know what I actually mean. Or it can even take you longer for you to get orgasm. One thing you have to know is that when there is a sexual activity, we have secretions that usually come around your vagina. You have so many glands there. Okay, not so many. We have several glands there that usually give you the lubrication. You stay for long without even attending to them. There is no secretion. Like I said, your body has a way of keeping things that it's not using, like redundant. Just put them somewhere, or just come back to them later. It will take a little bit longer for them to just go grab them, then try to polish and remove the dust. And okay. So basically what I mean is it can take a little bit longer for the body to get back to the normal state it used to be. So this one, it might take long for you to even get the secretions. When you get frequent stimulations, your body stays almost ready for that activity. So the secretions will just be waiting for even the wind to blow, or even clothing, and even trust me, this is a very interesting topic, and I should do more of this. Before you go to secondary virginity, let's go to diseases. We have two major categories when it comes to sexual health. The first one is UTIs. The second one is STIs. STIs, sexually transmitted. These are the ones that you usually acquire when you meet with another partner sexually. That one, they're going to reduce because you are not sexually active. Let's go to UTIs. There can be an increment or a reduction in the cases of UTIs. Increment will be because, one, when you have a sexual activity, your body tends to take you to the washroom frequently to empty your bladder all the time, most of the time actually. This is kind of a reflex, I would say. It helps very much when it comes to flushing out anything that is stuck along the urethra. Another thing is that sex is related to immune system. The more you have sex, the better the immune system you have. We have studies for that, trust me. You can go to PubMed, you can just go and grab some articles here, and then they're going to tell you the same thing, but it's not significant. We have chances that we might have a reduction in UTIs. The reason for that is we have sexually associated UTIs, meaning that during the sexual activity, you have a partner with a UTI they might give you, or you have bacteria that can be pushed from the anal opening, because those are neighbors anatomically. The vagina and the anal opening, they are close by. Those friends that are living behind there in the anal opening all the way in the gut, we have Escherichia coli. It's a bacteria, a major cause of UTI. So if you push it the other side, you get a UTI. So a reduction in sexual activities means that this risk is kind of eliminated. Before you go to urine incontinence, first of all, let's tackle secondary virginity. Virginity is when you have hymen. It can be broken through sexual activity. It will break the hymen, it's a membrane which is there. Or maybe riding a bike. It's actually one of the causes of non-sexual ways of breaking the hymen. Or it can be you just use a toy. Now, you are 100% sure that you don't have a hymen, so you're not a virgin anymore. But what will happen if you stay for long without having any sexual activity? Will it grow back? No. it's actually not going to grow back, but something will happen. So the walls become a bit thinner and less elastic, and this is what will give you that pain during the penetration when you stayed for long without having any sexual activity. That's what usually make people think that they've grown or they become virgin. This is because, yeah, there is not much of their application. The walls have thinned over time and you're not elastic. So both of you might feel there is resistance and also pain will be involved. Kind of the same thing that happened when you are breaking your initial virginity. So it's not secondary virginity, it's kind of your body being grumpy, if I may use that word. Urine incontinence. When you stay for long without having sexual activity, you might notice that you are struggling to keep in the urine for long. And sometimes when you cough or sneeze, you might drop some few drops of urine in there. There is something that we call pelvic floor muscles that actually exercise during the sexual activity. And over time, if you don't exercise the muscles, they become weak over time, and you find that one, you're not able to keep even, let's say, a small volume of urine in longer, or when you have a lot of it, you end up even maybe wetting yourself. But this happens to a very small number of people, not many of them. You are able to control your urine. Now, what you can do to fix this situation if you're not planning to come back is, okay, I'm thinking coming back as if anyway, if you're not planning to go back to sexual activities, you can do something called Kegel. Those are exercises that are meant to exercise the pelvic floor muscles. And how do you do that? It's quite simple. What you do is, do you see when you're urinating and then midstream, or when you're almost, okay, in the middle of you urinating, you just shut them off. You just stop by clenching the muscles. So now do that, but not when you're urinating. Okay, you can even do that when you're urinating, yes, it'll still exercise the same muscles, but you can do that when you don't have anything in your bladder. So just keep doing that. It's called Kegel. One, it makes your vaginal muscles a little bit firmer. It also strengthens your pelvic floor muscles. We also have something we call yoga. It helps there to control incontinence that might come as a result of, even in general incontinence, it helps very much. I don't know whether you noticed, but when you stayed for long without having any sexual activity, something happened. You felt, or even you were cleaner then. Because one, there is no friction going on there, which leads to deposition of epithelial cells, both from the man and also from your vagina. Second, the secretions, one coming from the man, of course, you know, the semen being deposited there. Also, your own secretions that are coming from the glands lining up the vagina. Like, for example, have you ever heard of Bartholin cysts? We are going to have a conversation around that in the next video. Okay, not the next one, because the next will be men, and then I'll find a way of making that video. So you have a reason to subscribe and also make sure the bell is on. So those secretions and deposits are not there anymore, or they are less, so meaning that you have less to deal with, and because your organ is self-cleaning, once it's done with everything, then you feel cleaner, and actually you stay cleaner. And by the way, you have some secretions that you get when you're close to getting your ovulation, when you're about to start your menses, and after your menses. Now, when you're about to start your menses, you might find that they are dark, they might be colored in a way because it contains some blood that will come out later. The ones that you get after menses is over. Those ones can also be cloudy or darkish because also of the remnants of the blood. It's kind of your system washing off everything that happened during the time when you're getting your blood through. And finally, you're on a family planning method. You're on a contraceptive. One, you are planning to either remove because you're not planning to have any sexual activity in the future or foreseeable future, or you've been not having any sexual activity and you find that it's actually useless to have that, because the main goal of having a contraceptive is not making you pregnant, and abstaining is a part of the contraceptive methods. If you're having that, or you're opting to just abstain, there is no need for you to have a contraceptive, and especially the hormonal ones that will just mess up your cycle here and there or do some things, and you know, they have side effects. Even the non-hormonal, like the copper IUD, might give you some. Okay, I'm not saying that all of them will have, but they react to people differently. We have those that are very comfortable with a certain method, and we have others that are going to get very severe side effects from any, whether they're hormonal or non-hormonal. Abstinence is actually natural. If you can be able to achieve this, it's my highest or the highly recommended type of contraceptive method. Now, what happens when you withdraw the type of contraceptive that you had? Now, it will depend. If you're using that, you are very normal, it was not affecting you negatively, the side effects are not that adverse, you'll just go back to your normal cycle. Nothing will happen. Like even if you are having depot, which is something that usually discourage people from getting, if you're having that, after the effects just wear off, you are back to you being fertile and the cycles go back to normal. Remember, we have some that once you start taking them, especially the hormonal, you'll find that you usually get hard time to replicate yourself during any sexual activity. When you stop and the effects wear off from the body, you're back to being normal, wetting, and replicating yourself enough. But then you'll have to be very sure that you're going to abstain, because now the risk of being pregnant is actually high, because now you're back to natural methods. Yeah. So like I said, this video is for educational purposes only. So when you stay following without sexual activity and then you meet your partner, make sure first of all they watch this video, because I want them to understand that it's going to be uncomfortable initially, but then it's going to improve over time. And again, don't forward this video to someone just for the mere reason of making them get afraid of their choices, or maybe you want them to change their minds. No. So respect the choices and let's have fun in the comment region. Just tell me what happened. How long did you stay without having sexual activities, and actually what happened to your body?